Okay, let's get right into it. There's this huge question looming over all of us. What's the right way to go about living a longer, healthier life? We're all after more than just years, right? We want health span, those good, vibrant years. And that search is basically split into two completely different paths.
On one side, you've got this idea of proactive maintenance, taking care of the body before things start to go wrong. And on the other, you have a system built on rock-solid proof and treating problems once they're here. We're talking about two powerful, competing philosophies that are really shaping the future of anti-aging. And it's not just about what pills to take, it's about two fundamentally different ways of seeing the human body itself.
So to really get our heads around this, we're going to use a metaphor. In one corner, let's call them the gardener. The gardener believes in cultivating health, nurturing the body's natural systems. And in the other corner, we have the engineer, who sees the body as a complex machine that demands rigorous safety checks and proven repairs. So which are we, gardeners or engineers? Let's break it down.
First up, let's talk about the gardener. This approach really embodies the thinking behind Russian peptide bioregulators, a field that's pretty much synonymous with Professor Vladimir Kavinsin. And this isn't some new age wellness trend that just popped up. It has a really long and specific scientific history.
So what's the core idea here? It's simple, really. Don't wait for the engine to start smoking before you check the oil. The whole goal is prevention. It's about nurturing the body's systems, helping them function well, and slowing down that slow, steady decline we all call aging, well before it ever becomes a disease you'd get a diagnosis for.
So what's the case for the gardener's way? Well, proponents will tell you it has deep scientific roots, with a very clear founder in Professor Kavinsin. They'll also point out that it didn't come from the world of consumer wellness marketing. Nope, its origins are in state and military research, where the goal wasn't profits but population resilience. The focus is squarely on health span, and the theory is actually pretty elegant, using these very specific, small peptides as bioregulators to gently support different tissues and organs.
And here is the absolute crucial point. The whole economic and philosophical model is different. The gardener's approach isn't built to find that next billion-dollar blockbuster drug that treats a disease after it's already shown up. The whole point is to try and stop that disease from ever getting a foothold in the first place.
Okay, so let's cross the aisle and hear from the other side. How does the engineer, representing that big Western pharmaceutical model, respond to that vision? This is a philosophy that's all about structure, hard data, and just massive scale.
The engineer's entire worldview is built on a foundation of extreme caution and evidence. They look at the body and see an unbelievably complex machine, like a high-tech skyscraper. You wouldn't just walk in and start knocking down walls or rewiring the whole building based on a promising idea, right? No way! You'd need blueprints, stress tests, and absolute proof of safety. Because when you're dealing with biology, mistakes can have really serious, unintended consequences.
And this is where the engineer's argument is incredibly strong. They have this absolutely ruthless filtering process. Ideas have to survive huge clinical trials with reproducible data. Safety isn't just a suggestion, it's backed by heavy regulation. And yeah, it might be slow, but this system is amazing at the boring but essential stuff. Consistent manufacturing, quality control, accountability. Plus, they'd argue, let's be real, the biggest wins in human longevity, from vaccines to heart disease meds, have come from this exact model.
This table just lays the whole debate bare, doesn't it? For the gardener, the goal is prevention, the model is driven by research, and the incentive is keeping a population healthy. For the engineer, the goal is treatment. The model has to be profit-driven to fund those massive, expensive trials, and the incentive is finding that next blockbuster drug. Their priorities are baked right into their DNA.
And that, right there, is the engineer's mic drop moment. A fascinating origin story and a beautiful theory are nice, but in the world of medicine, they just don't cut it. Without hard, replicated proof that it actually improves human outcomes, that people live longer, healthier lives, it just can't be called medicine. Okay, the cases have been presented. Now for the really fun part. A rapid-fire cross-examination, where each side gets to throw its toughest questions at the other. This is where things get spicy.
First up, the gardener lands a punch, challenging the engineer's entire model. Hey, if we all agree that aging itself is the root cause of heart disease, cancer, dementia, then why is your entire system built to wait for those diseases to show up before you do anything? Aren't you just treating the symptoms instead of the real problem?
And the follow-up question cuts even deeper. Is the engineer's own system, all the regulatory red tape, the way insurance works, is it actually making it impossible to even run the kind of long-term prevention trials we need? Is the system itself the biggest barrier to progress? That's a tough one.
Now the tables turn. The engineer fires right back. And they're demanding what they value most: hard data. Forget the theories, show me the proof. Where are the big, replicated human studies showing these peptides actually reduce mortality, or make people less frail, or improve cognition in the real world?
And the engineer follows up with a super practical but absolutely critical punch. How do you make sure the product someone buys online is actually safe, pure, and has the right dose every single time? This is all about accountability, manufacturing standards, and the nitty-gritty details of delivering medicine safely to millions of people. Whew! Okay, after that intense back and forth, where do we land? If we had to be the judge here, how would we rule in this great debate about the future of our health?
The verdict has to be a balanced one, because honestly, both sides have an incredibly strong point. The Gardner's approach, it wins on having a compelling vision. The idea of prevention, of cultivating health, it just makes sense, and the incentives are aligned with our goals. But the engineer is undeniably stronger when it comes to proof and safety.
And at the end of the day, that's really what it all boils down to. It's those three things: proof, safety, and the ability to scale it up reliably that draw the bright, clear line. It's what separates real mainstream medicine from something that lives in that fuzzy gray area between a cool research idea and a wellness product.
So, where does that leave us? We've seen the gardener's beautiful vision and the engineer's solid foundation. Maybe the true path forward isn't about choosing one over the other. Maybe it's about building something totally new. Something that takes the proactive, brilliant vision of the gardener, but builds it on the unshakable foundation of proof and safety that the engineer demands. The future of our health might just depend on figuring that out.